Hi guys, my name is Msimanga. I'm the subject advisor for economics in the Mutego district. Our aim for today is to discuss tourism with specific focus on policy to promote tourism. But in the process, we'll also reflect a little bit on June performance, how you have performed and what is it that you need to take into account when preparing for tourism. Right, let's go for brief reflection on June performance. In as far as June performance is concerned, I can say that we did not perform well as a subject, and you did not perform well as learners in the subject, I want to believe. So with this in mind, that we still have our targets that we need to reach. As you can see on the screen here, the district target is 85% pass with 45% as subject average, and province is also aiming at 90-50%, and this means that the overall performance that the province is expecting is 90% with 50% passes, in other words, bachelor passes. And another target is also on level 7 performance. Learners are expected to achieve better results so that they can get free bursaries from the department. Right now, I was hoping to get all the district results, but nonetheless, my district, Mutego, did not perform well, and I also spoke to some of my colleagues throughout the district to check as to how performance was in June in general. Now, as you can see here, I've got March results and June results. The two are not comparable, but they do give us a sense of what to expect, and they also tell us where we are not doing right. So my focus will be on the very same target of level 7 performance. If you look at the overall learner performance per level, we are performing dismally at level 7, and that's where we want quality. And the other thing is we are also aiming at 50% plus. In other words, all of you who performed at level 3, level 2, and level 1, you must go beyond level 4. I hope this is loud and clear to everybody, because we don't want to see you not being able to attend varsity after matric. Just briefly to look at what you need to have for these forthcoming examinations. You need to have your exam timetable ready, trial and final. And you need to also have your personal timetable, which you have to stick to at all times. And you need also to have your exam guidelines, structure of the paper, and the topics. The previous question papers, your own summary based on question papers per topic. I will also give you a glimpse of how I expect you to do this activity of working through the question papers and also having your own summary. I need to mention to you that for these forthcoming exams, the timetables are out already into schools. You must go and ask your subject teachers or principals to make those timetables available for you. For trial exam, paper 1 will be written on the 23rd of September, and paper 2, economics trial exam, will be written on the 1st of October. So there is ample time in between to prepare for the two papers. I hope you are going to make use of such opportunity presented to you. Unlike in June, where the two papers were written on consecutive days. Let us also check on the final paper also. The final paper for economics is like this. For paper 1, that will be the 4th of November. And then paper 2, that will be the 11th of November. And in between, you still have more than enough space to prepare yourself for paper 1 and paper 2. Right. I hope you'll make sure that you get hard copies of these 2 important documents so that you should plan your work in line with the trial exam. And I hope this time around we are going to see better performance in terms of the levels that you shall have attained and also the target that we have to achieve in the subject. Right. Let me then take you through the example of what I want you to do with the exam guidelines together with the topics for the question papers. Right. All right, I hope that all of you do have hard copies of the examination guidelines. You must have one. If you don't have, go and ask one from your subject teacher so that you know exactly what to prepare and how to prepare for the forthcoming exams. So the topic tourism belongs to paper 2, or it's part of paper 2 under contemporary economic issues. So that is very important to know where does the topic belong in terms of papers, and also how to go about preparing yourself for the same exam paper. Right, here on the screen I've got sample of previous questions on tourism. This graph here is from tourism, and it's from 2012 November. And I also have the extract. The Lost City, it's from March 2014. So make sure that you go through the previous question papers, as I indicated earlier on, that you will need the previous question paper so that you know, or you should have a sense of what to expect. And what I need to say to you outright is that you must not expect the same questions, but what you should expect is that the similar forms of questions might be said in the trial exam and even in the final exam. So you must be very extra careful in this regard. And then I also have section C questions. 2012 March, that was question 10. If you look at your exam guidelines, I'll also show you on page what page is that? Yeah, that's page 22 of the exam guidelines. So basically, if you look at the questions or models of questions that I have prepared for you here, they touch on all the topics that you need to attend to in the trial exam. And what I also need to emphasize to you is that we should always bear in mind that whenever you start preparing for examination or for whatever topic from economics, you must consult your examination guidelines. They are very important. They give you exactly what to study. And after having gone through your exam guidelines, it's only then you can go into your different textbooks. And what I also need to warn you is that the different textbooks at some stage do not cover some of the topics as expected by the examination guidelines. So I hope that is clear. Right. The other thing that I need to bring to your attention is that, as you can see, that the section C questions that I'm showing you here are from the previous question papers. And remember that the structure of section C has changed from what it used to be from the previous examinations. As you can see here, the question is, South Africa's tourism industry has grown tremendously over the past few years. Discuss the benefits of tourism, 30 marks. Explain briefly how marketing as a policy can contribute towards growth in tourism, or can contribute to growth in tourism. Sorry for that. But what you need to be aware is that the benefits of tourism will count, say, for 26 marks in the trial exam because of the new structure of the question paper. And the 10 marks question will still be there. And then the 2 marks from which this 26 will then be added, that will be coming from your introduction, your conclusion. Then all in all, that will be 40 marks, unlike here. But the syllabus has not changed and the questions are still relevant. The thing that we need to be aware of is the structure. Thank you. And then we also go to March 2014, question 10. It reads as follows: tourism plays a vital role in the global economy. Discuss the effects of tourism on the South African economy, 30 marks. Suggest ways in which tax revenue can be used to promote tourism, 10 marks. So be aware that the mark allocation here is not in line with the present structure, but for the practice purpose, this is 100% relevant, right? What you need also to be aware of from these questions is that from other years, some of the questions were not set in section C and they were drawn from other topics like inflation and environmental sustainability. In other words, in this section then, you need to be aware of what constitutes paper 2. You should not overemphasize tourism alone. It's not only tourism that is going to be tested in the examination. Part of microeconomics and also contemporary economic issues, as you go to your examination guidelines, you'll see how topics are well spread in for you. Right. And then there are also section A and section B questions that you can also use to practice on economics. Let me just give you a hint here. As you can see here, it's tourism, in brackets 2 marks, February 2010, and question 1.1.12. This simply means that there was a question that counted 2 marks in February 2010 paper from section A, that is multiple choice. As you can see here, the numbering simply indicates multiple choice. And then in which year was the question said? 2010. And tourist places, 2 marks, February 2010, question 1.25. And let me also show you an example of some of the questions in section B. I will not take you through question by question, but what I'm trying to bring to you is that you need to know how you can best utilize this tool for preparation on this topic. If you look on, say tourism numbers, data, February 2010, question 5.3, that was a data type of question or data-based question that counted for 10 marks. That's how you need to go about doing this. And as you can see, the highlighted ones were data-based questions. And let me also take you through some on graphs and one also on extracts. Remember, the question paper is not only about the multiple choice and short questions. There are also 8 marks questions that you need also to look at and pay special attention to. Let me give you an example also here. The effects of tourism and poverty, 8 marks. And then where is also another 8 marks. Here is examples of tourism, 8 marks. Which paper? November 2011, question 5.6. So what is critical here is that you need to make sure that you answer all the questions from this model of questions on the tourism as a topic. And in the meantime, as you will be going through the previous question papers, you need to take that into account and make it your tool of revision. And how you do that, let me show you that. Right, as you can see, this is my notebook, or it can be an exercise book, it doesn't matter. What you do, you make copies of those questions and you staple them or you glue them to the very first page. And next to the page, it's where you get your responses on. You need to consult your exam guidelines, your textbooks in answering the questions. And in the meantime, whilst you'll be answering the questions, you'll also be making a revision and also storing the same information in your brain for a longer period of time. And remember, as long as you don't study daily, you are likely to not to remember the information over a long time. Right, so this is how you will then go through this exercise. So make sure that you keep this nicely for the rest of the topics. And I will also urge your teachers to assist you in this respect. This is how you can best have all your resources handy during your exam times. So to reduce stress, like not knowing where to start and so on. When you have all your previous questions handy like this, then the exercise is gonna work wonders for you during the exam preparations. Right. Let me also show you something on the examination guidelines here. The models of questions that I've just shown to you, they answer all the subtopics within the main topic, which is tourism. There are questions that are set on definitions, types of tourism, and the measure. There are also questions on reasons for its growth, either in the multiple choice section B or in part of section C. The effects of tourism, as you can see on this column, this is the content details for teaching, learning, and assessment purposes. Right, now, if you look at the action verbs, or let me call them action verbs, they clearly indicate to you the possibilities in the exams. What to expect from here is this could be an 8 marks questions. This could be your essay type of questions. This could also be your essay type of questions. As you can see, the action verbs that I have underlined, they simply show you what to expect in the exams. And remember, in the exams, you can be asked to discuss, say, the effects of tourism on the South African economy, and then the additional part or question on this that counts for 10 marks can also be set on, say, for example, policies that are used to promote tourism for 10 marks. Then that will count for 40 marks in the end. So you must not have a fixed way in which the questions will be set in the exam. Right, then without any waste of time, I think I must shoot straight to the topic that I wanted you to go through, which is the policy suggestion by the Department of Tourism. I hope, guys, we are still following. And if you have a problem, make sure that you consult your subject teacher. This technique of revising used to work a lot for my learners. And I also believe that even for you, this can work wonders. But what you need to be aware is that as long as you can make sure that you do the same with the questions per paper. So the same approach will work wonders for you. Let's say, for example, for paper 1, here are the topics: circular flow, business cycles, public sector, foreign exchange, and so on. So if you follow the same approach that I've just shown you, you collect all the previous question papers with the assistance of your subject teachers, then you can have model of questions that you must use, practice with, and make sure that you develop confidence before entering the exam room. And the same with paper 2 topics. The most important thing that you can appreciate is that you know well in advance the topics from which papers will be said. So it also follows that if you prepare well in advance and you study almost every day, you balance your studies, you will reduce unnecessary stress. Can you see how important is the exam guidelines? I used to say that exam guidelines for me serve as GPS. They give you a direction in terms of what to expect in the examinations. I hope you are following and you'll make use of the exam guidelines throughout. Let me then take you through to the policies that are used to promote tourism. Yeah, here on the screen is just a timetable that you can use to spread your exam preparations. You can extend to weekends, or you can use this up to, say, how can I put it? You can use this time management for your preparation for exams, either during the day or in the evening, and even on Saturdays and Sundays. Right. Let me go then to the policies. This is the pictures, or these are pictures of types of tourism that we have in our subject, but that's not what I'm going to take you through. Right. My approach also in attempting to assist you on policies that are used to promote tourism. I have included a technique that we can use to remember information a lot. If you look at the exam guidelines, that's the very last subtopic under tourism. And the policies that we must look at is marketing, infrastructure, taxation, spatial distribution, education and training, environment management. Let's say it happens that this forms part of section B question. Then it says to you, discuss 2 or 3 policies that are used to promote tourism in South Africa. Then if you follow on this column, it's the acronym from the first letters of these policies. Say, for example, M is from marketing, I is from infrastructure, T from taxation, S from spatial distribution, E for education, E for environment. Now, you might find that in your textbooks or anywhere else, the policies are not arranged in this sequence. But as a technique, just try to arrange them in such a way that when you use acronyms, they are easy for you to remember. Let's say, for example, if you read all these acronyms at the same time, they sound like meet-se, meet-se. Or in your vernacular, this could be meet-se, 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 meet-se. As you can hear the sound, M-I-T-S E are part and parcel of the mite or mite. Right, and then another technique is mnemonic. A mnemonic is just a simple way of remembering a lot of information, especially when coming to essays or even to 8 marks questions. So from this mnemonic, more in the sun enjoy education. What is evident is that M for marketing is simply called more, and then infrastructure, in or I for infrastructure, the for taxation, spatial, sun, education, enjoy, education and training, enjoy, environment, education. So what you need to be aware is that the M, the I, the T, the S, the E, and the E from the acronym are the letters that start your mnemonic. More in the sun, enjoy education. Then you'll know that if a question says to you, discuss any 2 or 4 of the policies that are used to promote tourism, then you'll remember or you'll recall more in the sun, enjoy education. And then you focus on the first letters of more in the sun, enjoy education. Then you then say M will be for marketing, I infrastructure, T for taxation, S for spatial distribution, E for enjoy, E for education. I hope this makes sense a lot, and this is the simplest way of getting more marks and also ensuring that you perform beyond expectations as it is expected of you in this forthcoming 2 examinations. And with revision, with time management, with everything that you give to your subject, then we are going to get the results that you are yearning for this year. Right? Marketing tourism as one of the first policy for tourism promotion. It goes like this. You know, from business studies point of view, what is marketing? Basically, marketing is all about making your product known to the world or to the potential buyers. Now, in this case, people who are likely to consume your service are the ones that you need to focus more on. Marketing and promotion of South Africa's tourism must be done both internationally and nationally. And SA tourism was created for this purpose. So it's given that in the context of South Africa, marketing should be done internationally and nationally. And I need to take you back a little bit in terms of who are the main players in this respect. This is just a background information. As you know, the policy is just a plan of action, statement of ideas proposed or adopted by the Department of Tourism aimed at growth and inclusion of the previously disadvantaged group, or in brackets, redress. As you can see that from the main topic, the topics about tourism and redress. So in a nutshell, in as far as redress is concerned, is that all people who were not part and parcel of the main activities in the tourism industry are now invited through policy and other means. So the Department of Tourism is the main role player in this regard in promoting South Africa internationally and nationally. And the very same Department of Tourism has got a public enterprise or agency that it utilizes to carry out this plan. And this is called SATOR. And this SATOR does not function in isolation from other role main players. We also have the private sector in the name of Tourism Business Council of South Africa, abbreviated as TBCSA. Now, this TBSA, or Tourism Business Council of South Africa, is the umbrella body for all those private businesses in travel and tourism. So these are the links between the state and other role players like NGOs, civil society, labor unions, and so on. Right. Now, in marketing tourism, there are campaigns that were launched by South African Tourism, SATOR in a nutshell. The first campaign is Welcome Campaign. Let's have a look at what this campaign is all about. It encourages all the South Africans to make every tourist feel at home. This is very important, that when you see a tourist, smile to that tourist, make sure that he or she appreciates you and you also appreciate him or her in return. This will make sure that the person will have an unforgettable experience, and this person or this tourist will likely return to South Africa about their experience in the country. Another strategy under marketing is the Welcome Awards. So the Welcome Awards, in a nutshell, they recognize high standards and excellent service. And differently put, this could be said that Welcome Awards recognizes those businesses and individuals that improve the quality of service. That is tourism offering. That is tourist offering or tourism offering. This high standards and excellent service. Right. Another way or strategy of marketing South Africa is short-left campaign. Most of you who watch news or television, you would see some adverts on short-left campaign. And the campaign is aimed at making travel more accessible and affordable for all South Africans. We are known as South Africans as people who do not travel even within our own country, and that is disappointing. So we must make sure that we all travel, even if we don't go overseas and so on, but we know South Africa from point A to point B in as far as tourism is concerned. And during Tourism Month, South Africans are reminded that South Africa is such a wonderful country that they must explore. In other words, you must know all tourist attraction areas in your country. And then in this endeavor, then, the Department of Tourism encourages people to explore for themselves the new and upgraded attraction and facilities across the country. SA Tourism has a number of marketing agreements in place for its short-left campaign. In other words, the South African tourism does not go solo in terms of campaigning. It campaigns with partners like Kulula.com, Socioloza Mail, and other business partners. And then we have another strategy under marketing, which is Tourism Indaba. Tourism Indaba is one of the largest marketing events on the African calendar. In other words, it's a well-known event in the African calendar, and it showcases a variety of the best tourism products in Southern Africa, and it attracts visitors and media from across the world. So as you can imagine, and if you follow what is happening in your country as these topics from contemporary economic issues, you must be well ahead of the developments in this respect. You must not have heard of tourism in Indaba today. You must have known about this long ago. So let's have a look at what are the benefits of this tourism in Indaba then. The tourism in Indaba promotes destinations, attractions, tours and events to tourism companies, tour operators, developers and private individuals. So this is a major events which markets South Africa a lot, and not forgetting Africa at the same time. Durban is where it happened in 2011, and more than 13,000 delegates attended that Indaba conference by 2011. So you can just imagine, if all 13,000 delegates attend a conference, that is a well-marketed product. What? Tourism. So it's very important to note that. And another strategy, or the fifth strategy under marketing alone, is the Tourism Enterprise Partnership. Tourism Enterprise Partnership is a small business development agency focused on small and medium tourism. And the way I see TEP, I see TEP as a vehicle that the Department of Tourism is using to make sure that all those small role players are brought on board in terms of tourism activities. So it's very important that Tourism Enterprise Partnership was established, and also we must be aware of that as small and medium enterprises in this tourism sector. Let us have a look at its objective then. Its objective is to improve the sustainability of small tourism enterprises, to protect and promote creation and transformation within tourism industry. Job creation is central to this development agency, or tourism development agency, and transformation within the tourism industry are the two critical objectives or issues that TEP must attend to. So when we speak of transformation, we are also addressing the question of redress. In other words, this is the vehicle through which you, myself, and others can join the tourism industry. And let us have a glimpse of the success stories so far in as far as Tourism Enterprise Partnership is concerned. It is said that Tourism Enterprise Partnership has helped more than 6,400 small tourism firms to expand. This is good news for job creation. This is a good news for employment opportunities. And it has invested more than 450 million in the industry. This has created 57,000 jobs. South Africa today experiences high level of unemployment. We cannot deny the fact that tourism as a sector or tourism industry is very important in making a dent on unemployment. Right. So the second policy is infrastructure. For tourism to flourish, it's very important that the infrastructure is on the world standard. And when we speak of infrastructure, we are referring to telecommunications, rail and road networks, signage, information centers, conventions, and conference facilities. As you are aware that the Indaba conference that was held in 2011 is bearing testimony to the facility that is on world class. And government should improve the accessibility and infrastructure of rural areas. Remember, tourism is not only about going to urban areas or semi-peri-urban areas. It also means going to deep rural areas, as we have rural tourism. And the latest technology should also be implemented in order to ensure that the tourist would then have access to the internet, would be able to communicate on social networks and so on. So that's basically how infrastructure will then promote tourism. Then the third policy is on taxation. It is believed that when tourists visit a country, there should be a minimum tax levied on them. And there is a guideline that is set for that to happen. So, in as far as the guidelines for levying taxes on tourist industry, we have the following. The tax should be equitable. And what do we mean by equity? Taxes should be fair, and the tourist industry should be treated in the same way as the other sector in the economy. So, in other words, we should not see a different tax regime being applied to tourism industry that is different to other sectors of the economy. The second aspect under taxation is efficiency. Taxes should not affect the tourism demand. In other words, the taxes should not make it difficult for tourists to visit our country. And this should also be done in view of the objectives of the state. Say, for example, if the government wants to restrict access to a particular site or an area, it can then adjust the tax as a deterrent. But in allowing citizens or foreign citizens coming to our country, that should be efficient. And then the last aspect under taxation is simplicity. Taxes should not disrupt the operations of the tourism industry and should be simple to pay and administer. This is how the tax should be. One should understand the tax, how simple to pay it, and how it is administered. Right, the fourth policy is spatial distribution. This spatial distribution is all that the places in the country are not evenly spread, especially places of tourist attraction. So, and at the same time, the benefits are not evenly distributed across the country or over the provinces. So it is necessary for tourism department to intervene to make sure that all the provinces or all the areas within the country do reap benefits of tourism. And then hence this spatial distribution. In other words, make sure that even where people cannot easily go, there are some of the activities going on that will attract tourists. Because most tourists will then flock to the similar or to the same familiar destinations because attraction to those destinations are well known. If there are areas that are far from the main centers of tourism, then it simply says that people will still flock to the main centers where tourism activities are happening. So there should be a fair spread of these activities across the country or over the provinces. Then the initiative was then introduced in the name of Spatial Development Initiative. Then, in achieving this even spread of tourism activities, there are three approaches that can be used in this regard. The three approaches are to create representative bodies, to improve marketing, to improve supporting services. Right, let's go back to the first strategy. In other words, this simply means that tourist-based industries are linked to form representative bodies. In other words, if there are tourist attractions, the owners or individuals or operators in those areas need to come together and form a representative body that will speak on their behalf. And in this way, that will make information available, that will also make access easy to such places. So there will be a central command in a way, in as far as these other areas that are not usually visited, because there will be a platform from which to market themselves. And then, because of this body, marketing will be improved in a way because the body will be speaking on behalf of other people or of other individuals in the sector. And then tourists will receive accurate descriptions of the product and information about competitive prices. And less well-known destinations will then be aggressively marketed, which is what we want under this policy of spatial distribution. And as you can understand, what this spatial distribution means is that even where people were not initially involved in the activities of tourism, they can now be part and parcel of the broader tourism sector. And then, because of the very same joint efforts, joint activities, there will be improved support services or supporting services. The standards of transport, accommodation, and other amenities, simply meaning facilities and services, will be on world-class standard. Because remember, there is a chain in this regard. All the activities of these people who were not visited, they speak with one voice through the representative body. So everything that happens in that sector will be nicely and well coordinated. So even if people were not able to match the standard, but because of this coming together, coming up with this initiative, then things will be run on the world standard, even though the activities are outside the main tourism area. Right, another very important policy is on education and training. Remember that not all of us, especially the previously disadvantaged people, were part and parcel of tourism. So it's very critical that education forms part of the initiative or forms part of efforts in addressing the neglect. So workers who are involved in the tourism sector are encouraged to take courses in tourism and hospitality run by TETA. Let me explain TETA a little bit. TETA it's an acronym or abbreviation for Tourism, Hospitality, Sport, Education and Training Authority. In other words, this is the SETA, or Sector Education Training Authority, that is aligned to tourism and hospitality in South Africa. And its main objective is to ensure that the neglected or the previously disadvantaged benefit from tourism in terms of job leveling. What do we mean by job leveling? We mean because of this previously disadvantaged people's background, they are now taken on the same standards with the rest of the people who were involved in the sector. So education will be very critical, or will be very key in this respect. So we must make sure that we all participate in the tourism sector and make sure that we learn and gather more knowledge in as far as the sector is concerned. So the policy on education should also be sound. And the last policy is on environmental management. Remember that under the broad discussion of tourism, there are positive externalities and negative externalities brought about tourism. So guarding against the negative externalities, government is aware of the importance of ensuring that all aspects of the environment are managed in a responsible manner in terms of scarce resources, land, water, forestry, and the heritage sites. In a nutshell, the government is making sure that environment and resources are not impacted negatively by tourism. So this is very important, that even though the tourism department is aggressively marketing South Africa internationally and nationally, but environmental deterioration must be guarded against at all costs. This is what this policy means in a nutshell. I hope you understand that. And as you can remember, under the effects of tourism, there are externalities that come up with tourism, both positive and negative. I hope this intervention shall have assisted you, and this is the end of my presentation on tourism. So I hope and believe that you have learned a lot, and if you are struggling with some of the issues that I have presented, your subject teacher will be your immediate resource person. And remember, for you to pass the forthcoming examinations, you need to prepare well, keep bad friends, and keep bad friends away from your activities, and make sure that you keep people who share the same understanding, the same objectives, and the same everything. Thank you very much.